Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm so happy to be making these videos for you guys. I know that there are a lot of really popular narcissism channels out there, and I just feel like each of them are different in their own right. A lot of them are coming from survivors with no educational background in the narcissistic spectrum, so to speak. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but a lot of them are victims. And then there's a lot of doctors out there who have done whole segments on narcissism, and I feel like everybody comes from a different standpoint and offers a different take. And so I feel like as a victim and also a psychologist in training, I'm currently in my bachelor program for psychology, and I feel like I have a lot of experience in this background because I have been in my narcissistic relationship for a long time. I know it's not something that I really talk about on here or have talked about in the past, but I do one day hope to share more of my personal story on here. But for now, I just want to thank you for being here. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the narcissist and boundaries. This is something that I didn't really realize for a very long time, that the narcissist has absolutely no respect for people's boundaries. And I could see this clear as day very early on in my relationship with my narc. And I didn't put two and two together. I was so naive and just so clouded in my judgment that I didn't see it for what it really was. And they, like with everything that's behind a narcissist's motive, they work it into your brain using gaslighting and manipulation techniques. And the lack of respect for boundaries comes with that constant need to feed themselves, that constant need for supply. And so they won't respect anybody's boundaries at all. I know, as a really basic example, I was a single parent when I met my narcissist, and I was very proud of what I had. I had a decent job. It was by no means a very high-paying job, but I had adequate childcare, and I was able to pick up overtime, and I was able to work a lot of hours and make a really nice paycheck to pay all of my bills. Granted, I didn't have the nicest of things, which is as a lot of single moms are, in that situation. And that was okay. I was happy with that because for the time being, I was making it. My son was supported. We weren't hungry, those kind of things. And I was very proud of that. And when my narcissist came in, none of that was good enough for him anymore. What I was doing, what I was providing wasn't good enough. And I was very proud of the things that I had. And I would tell them and I would say things to people, not like in a bragging way, but if it ever got brought up, I would say like, oh, my TV, because it was my TV. It was something that I had purchased with my own money that I worked overtime to be sure that I could purchase. And that was my boundary, was that my things were mine. I paid for those things and I worked hard for those things. And when he came into the picture, all of a sudden that needed to change. He was very offended by that boundary of me saying that my things were mine. And I wasn't doing it in a hurtful manner, but it was true coming from a single parent standpoint. I put myself in that situation to be able to purchase those things on my own. And he didn't like that at all. He somehow persuaded me into believing that because I had entered a relationship with him that my things were no longer mine, they were ours. And that's just the way it had to be. And of course, I just went along with it because I wanted so badly to be with him and to make him happy and to keep the peace that I just went with it. And that is just a very basic of boundaries that he just completely disrespected. Later in our marriage, another example is, having children. I never wanted a large family. When I had my son very young, my oldest child, and when he was about 2 years old, I came to the conclusion that, I didn't want any more children. I was already going through a divorce, and I was happy with just my son. Even though he wasn't planned, I did have him very, very young. I was happy with just the one child. And I put that boundary up from the very beginning, going into the relationship with my narc husband. At the time, he wasn't my husband. Because he wanted children. That was one of the very first things that he said to me, was that he wanted more children. And I didn't. And I told him that. I said, no, I don't think so. I'm pretty happy with my life. And I didn't feel like I needed to have more children in my life. And it wasn't because I was a single parent. I knew that if I was ever going to be in another relationship, that person might want kids. And that was okay. That was them. For me, I just knew that I didn't think I could be in a relationship with somebody who wanted more kids. And he said, this was very, very early on, he said, well, you'll change your mind. Everybody does. And that was another disrespect to the boundary that I had drawn as far as having children were concerned. And that went on for years and years. Eventually, we did have 2 more children together. And each time, it had come after some very long debates, about having children. Until when I finally started, wising up on that children factor, that I wouldn't let him control that situation anymore. That's just another example of the boundaries that were broken that had been drawn between me and him. It can also be boundaries between other people. I know in my experience, my narc didn't even respect the boundaries between his parents and us or any other family member. He believed that everything belonged to him and that he had access to everything. He always wanted access to his parents' bank account and his parents' vehicles. And those are boundaries that shouldn't be crossed. It shouldn't even be a question. When you are with somebody who has severe NPD, this is going to become a major issue. And I don't even want to say become. It's going to be an issue from the very beginning, but it's not going to be something that was realized in the beginning. It can take you a very long time to come to that conclusion. Like I said, with me, I did not arrive to that conclusion until probably about 8 years into my narcissistic relationship, was that those boundaries just were ridiculous. They were always being charged through by my narcissistic husband, and eventually you stop putting up those boundaries because you just want to keep the peace and you just want to give them whatever it is that they want. Now, this video isn't about getting out of the relationship, but to keep yourself sane, you need to figure out a way to not let them take down those boundaries or cross those boundaries that you set for yourself. This even goes for sex. Say you just not a sexual person, or your libido, I guess, isn't as active as your narc would like it to be. Say they want sex every day or twice a day, some ridiculous amount, and you just know that you can't do that. You might say, okay, well, let's just start with every other day and go from there. Whatever boundary you set, they're not going to accept it. They're going to blow right through it, and they're going to use whatever they can against you to manipulate you into still giving them that sex every day, because they cannot respect your boundaries. And to be completely honest, I don't believe that a narcissist even respects anyone in the general sense. I don't even know if they're capable of respecting people in a general way, as far as, people that are close to them, and even people that are not, people that they work with and things like that. I wonder about that. But anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. Just know that you're not alone in this situation. If you are in a relationship with a narcissist, or you know somebody that's a narcissist, you are not alone. If you want to talk about how to set up boundaries and keep to your boundaries, and how to go about it in a way that doesn't make it worse for you, there's going to be an email in the description box that you can send me an email privately, and I will respond to you. I don't check it every day, so just know that. And I look forward to talking with you guys in the next video.